literature of a lifetime.
Absolutely. Guys, as we're recording right now, we're standing on the precipice of the release of the most highly anticipated book of the year, 107 Days by Kamala Harris.
All about her journey as a presidential candidate in those crucial 170 days, or 107 days, before she unfortunately lost and put us in the fucking torment nexus that we're in right now. But we bring this up because we bring this up as a sort of prelude. Yes. To the episode we will be releasing next week on Monday for our patrons, on Wednesday for everybody else, where we will be doing a full book review. We are dedicating an entire episode in this fucking maelstrom of news.
No fucking news.
To reviewing this book. And, you know, whether it's a 20-minute episode or a 3-hour episode, either way, it will tell you about the book.
It's going to tell you all you need to know about the book. Your one-stop shop for every good piece of information you can get out of that without reading it yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's especially important because the autopsy sort of hasn't ended for the Democrats in 2024. We're still sort of debating why the Democrats lost, if not directly, then just in the sense of like people are talking about how they should move forward by doing the exact same things that we've already done.
Yeah, I want to say there's a whole new industry that's been born just out of figuring out where the Democrats need to go, but it's kind of always been here, and it's the consultant class just trying to rebrand themselves.
Yeah, and we got a bit more on that later on in this episode, but I want to start off today, again, with a prelude of Kamala Harris's 107 days. God, I keep saying 70. Whew. I don't even know. I'm not even a true fan.
It's messed up.
A prelude for our book review of Kamala Harris's 107 days, because there's an excerpt released by The Atlantic where Kamala Harris is talking about the process of her selecting a vice presidential candidate for herself. And I think there's some interesting stuff in here that sort of reveals a little bit about how they thought about this race, or at least how she thought about it.
Take a little look behind the curtain.
So from The Atlantic, she was considering Pete Buttigieg, and about Pete Buttigieg it says, quote, "Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man," Harris writes in a passage of her soon-to-be-released book, 107 Days, that I saw. But we were already asking a lot of America to accept a woman, a black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do this. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. And I think Pete also knew that, to our mutual sadness. And now, to an extent, like this is true, right? Like it is unfortunate, but there's a lot of bigotry in America. And a lot of people hold bigotry against black people, black women especially. And they hold bigotry against a gay man if he were on a ballot. And it makes it harder, makes it a sort of uphill battle for people from these marginalized groups to get elected because of all the stereotypes and stigma. But what this passage tells me is that they still do not understand how badly they squandered somebody like Tim Walz.
Yes.
And that to me speaks to the fact that they don't understand why they lost this election.
Well, it's one thing to say that a lot of the American electorate is indeed bigoted, and it would be hard for them to accept not only the black female president, but also a gay vice president.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing to say that, which is true, and also say, if I was a straight white guy, Pete is the ideal pick.
Exactly.
In no fucking world is Pete Buttigieg the ideal pick. Pete Buttigieg polls 0% with black people. Mm-hmm. Pete Buttigieg sucks. He does not energize anybody. Yeah. It's like he's eating infinitely off, what was it, the Iowa caucus win?
Yeah, 2020 Iowa caucus win.
You win one Iowa caucus, and all of a sudden you're constantly a presidential contender forever, no matter what constituencies you can't pick up on, no matter how you can't just reach people in general.
And it's like Pete Buttigieg is the ideal candidate, or the ideal either VP or presidential pick for people like Ezra Klein.
Yeah.
But for literally nobody else. Like, he doesn't speak to the issues in a way that would actually get people to join on to a political project in a way that we need right now. Which is why I say that, like, her not directly going after Tim Walz, but sort of like, you know, giving him a side eye in this by saying that Pete Buttigieg was her ideal pick shows that they just don't understand where the electorate's at or what they needed to do to win. Tim Walz was so popular because he was the free school lunch guy. He was calling Republicans weird, and he was doing all this other sort of economically populist stuff. And that's why people liked him so much. And they used none of it. They use literally none of it.
I wonder if we'll get more on this when we start reading the book tomorrow. I'm so fucking excited, man. But it's like, They picked Tim Walz to throw a bone to progressives and then thought that they would never have to ever do anything progressive after that.
Yeah.
Including letting Tim Walz speak.
Yeah. Like they set Tim Walz up for failure on that debate stage. They didn't let him do any of the stuff that he was doing before that made him popular in the first place. And indeed, the stuff that would have maybe clawed back some of the support that Democrats had hemorrhaged under the Biden administration.
In one of the excerpts I saw, she did talk about the Tim Walz debate and how he like low-key sucked.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was not good.
It did suck. I remember we were there.
Yeah, it was not good. But part of the reason it wasn't good is because he had to rep policies that the Biden-Harris administration was cool with.
He was muzzled. He couldn't be aggressive. He couldn't call JD Vance weird. Instead, he called JD Vance his friend.
Yeah, they dropped the weird
turn around
shtick.
and like criticize him. Like, come on.
Like the weird shtick is like exactly what people need right now. It caught fire and made so many people angry because it like hit home.
And they are weird.
Yeah.
Totally. Have you seen Stephen Miller?
It's just it's sort of I don't know. It's interesting the way that they think about these things. Like they do think that they're just in West Wing. Like if they just select a compelling speaker or somebody that knows lots of words, then necessarily they'll win people over to their side. But it's like you shouldn't focus on winning conservatives. You should be focusing on riling people up through the sort of material suffering that they're experiencing.
And there'll be a little nice bookend to this show, and we talk about that because the idea that Democrats think they're in West Wing comes up later, and we'll talk about Ezra Klein and the shit that he's in this week, deservedly so.
Yeah, and it's like it's just still so clear to me that the reason Harris lost is, and some of it is like the bigotry, right? Like some people just are unwilling to vote for a black woman, and part of that is like insurmountable for her in an unfair way. But aside from that, it's like the connection to the Biden administration. Biden was senile and old, and people hated it, and she did nothing to distance herself from him. In fact, she said multiple times that nothing would really be different, and that she would actually make her administration even more right wing by hiring a Republican. It was the failure to deliver on key economic issues, right? Inflation was bad, and then wars, right? Like the Biden administration was seen as like pro-war, and they did nothing to combat that. And in some ways, I can't even say they weren't pro-war because they kind of were.
They didn't even really do anything to combat Bidenflation. Like I'm like it just. Everything sucked, man. Yeah. Everything really just sucked so bad after that. And I wonder if she's going to do her own like election autopsy. I wonder what conclusion she's going to come to as to why maybe she lost.
My guess is that liberals like her can't do a real autopsy looking at those three reasons I listed, because one, it would require them to look at, if they're doing the age thing, if you start actually interrogating the age thing, it requires you to look at the entire fucking Democratic establishment. Which they can't do.
Like the average age of Democrats is older than Republicans.
Yes.
I think in the House and in the Senate, or maybe just the Senate.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then, of course, looking at the economic issues would require you to push back on the donors that gave her $1 billion, which like... Fat chance of that happening, right? So very excited for the book. Entire episode coming, not the next one, but the one after the next one. Let us know what you think of the book.
My free time will be reading.
Yes.
It will be reading and then doing the show notes for the Thursday show and then reading right again.
Literature, baby.
So geek.
Reading literature. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today is Monday, September 22nd. We're here bringing you more Hit-O. Today, comedy is dead.
Comedy's dead. It's legalized comedy, illegalized comedy. What happened to Elon Musk fucking taking a goddamn chainsaw to the stage at CPAC, talking about comedy's legal now. We're going to run through the establishment.
Legalized comedy.
Talking about something about like being like the meme something. Oh, living the dream? No, I'm living the meme.
Yeah.
And all this free speech bullshit.
Legalized comedy, unless you make fun of my favorite podcaster, then I'm sending you to El Salvador.
Exactly.
Like it's
absurd. You make one joke about the administration, you're in Gitmo.
So we're comedy is dead today. We'll also be talking about this just fucking insane delusional thing that a bunch of state legislators did going on this 50 states, one Israel trip last week. And then lastly, we got a couple of stories at the end about how libs think that they're cooking.
But they're not.
Amid the sort of crises of our time with an impending government shutdown at a state and federal level for us here in Michigan, and then a couple of other things. Libs think they're cooking, and they're just not.
Whole lot of extras this week because there was a lot of stuff that happened, but nothing was quite as big as the fucking late night host.
Exactly.
Man, oh man.
And before we get into our typical like shout outs and shameless plugs and stuff, I will say that we have two upcoming events that we have to plug here today. Yes. We will be at the Southfield Public Library on October 4th at at 2 p.m. we will be doing a rerun of our intro to podcasting session that we did at the Farmington Community Library. So if you missed it a couple of months ago, feel free to show up for the October 4th event at Southfield Public Library here in Michigan.
Pull up, say hi.
Completely free.
That's a good time. No registration required for this one either, so you can just come.
No registration required. Link is in the description if you want to look at the full website for that. And then on October 18th, we will be at the Michigan Sociological Association Conference at Wayne State University. Registration is required for this, and there is a fee associated with registration.
Yes.
But you can see all of those details at the link in the description. We'll be giving a talk on the politics of fear.
Yeah, essentially, it's like the first Hito live show, low-key.
Yeah, low-key a Hito live show. We'll also be taking questions at both events. If you have any questions about intro to podcasting or the politics of fear and the way in which the Trump administration weaponizes it to get their shit done.
Big on that.
So that's 2 events coming up. We will continue to remind you as we get closer and closer. But if you want to see a Hito live event, show up.
That's pretty cool. The last one we did, really fun. A couple of Hito heads showed up. A couple of Hito heads drove. Shouts out to them.
Very far.
That's pretty cool.
And you can learn something.
And you can learn something, exactly. You can start your own podcast. We can start the Hito lineage.
That's the goal.
What can I say?
So if you want to help support the show that way, show up to our events. We can also become a patron, early access to everything. Patrons are the first ones getting the book review.
Exactly. Getting the book review like 2 whole days early.
Yeah.
You could have that shit on September 29th instead of October 1st. Which way, Western man?
Exactly.
Thick.
And I will say we did reach out to the publishers and ask for review copies. They did not give them to us. So we would have the review launch on the day that the book comes out to maximize the sort of views that we get on it. But unfortunately, we were not given review copies.
Yeah, I don't even think we were given the courtesy of a response.
No, they didn't respond to us.
It's absurd. Simon Schuster said a big small pond.
Yeah.
A big pond, little fish.
Yeah, they told us to fuck off essentially by saying nothing. Anyways, you can become a patron, early access to all of our stuff. If you want to support the show, there's a multitude of ways to do it down in the description. And lastly, one of the best ways you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And we got a couple of them to read today.
Yeah, we do this first one from Arden L, a true favorite. I never thought I would find a Politicast funny, informative, and reassuring, but here we are. Found y'all back in July and have been condemning Hamas and all forms of political violence ever since, with hit after hit from these Midwest white boys. I feel like I have found a semblance of sanity and order in this freaky, spiraling world. Thank you both for keeping us all up to date and for becoming my favorite tertiary news podcast. Keep up the good takes for us Southern Hito Hive members.
Really changing y'all's vocabulary.
That's right.
I'll take it as a sign of respect. This next one from Harry O'Patty. The title is just a caterpillar. It's the emoji of a caterpillar. My Hamas and political violence condemning girlfriend Caroline put me on these two informed white boys, and I gotta say I'm hooked. They keep me up to date and make my weekly drives to and from Ohio to Kentucky fly by. Living in rural Ohio, oh my God, it can get tough to get good takes, but these two boys keep pumping moral clarity straight into my veins. I've only been listening for a few months now, but I already feel we're closer than Trump and Epstein.
It's true.
Keep up the good work, fellas. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's true. Come to the library event and we can get multiple pictures just like Trump and Epstein.
Shout out to girlfriends that put their boyfriends onto Head in the Office.
Exactly. Instead of liberal girlfriends that have conservative boyfriends, it's liberal girlfriends indoctrinating their boyfriends into the Hitosphere.
And sometimes that's what you got to do, so mad respect.
In this political climate, this next review by Hurley Lane. This is my favorite podcast. Coming to you live from Florida, smack dab in the middle of the Red Sea of madness. I have to say, this podcast is my sanity saver. I grew up in a very conservative household, and when I started realizing my thoughts and values don't quite match up with my family and peers, I honestly thought I was losing it. Turns out I'm just normal. Stumbling across this podcast was one of the best things I've ever done. These guys don't just make me feel sane and seen, they make me laugh at the absurdity of it all. Huge on that this week, which is basically free therapy. Especially with recent events, listening feels like grabbing a drink with friends who get it. I appreciate these guys so much for being the dose of reality and sarcasm I need to survive in Florida without spontaneously combusting. It's hot down there.
So true. We will get to the Spotify reviews at the end, not because Spotify reviews are lesser, but somebody's got to go at the end.
Come on, guys.
Look, man, it's a cruel world out there.
It's
a dog-eat-dog world.
What happens? Please continue to leave comments, though. It looks like they're helping us out a little bit, and that's what's important. It's spreading the word, spreading the gospel. That's what evangelism is all about.
Yeah, our recent episode talking about the Charlie Kirk thing when it first happened is our biggest one ever. The biggest numbers ever, and that makes me a little nervous. So if like Laura Loomer is listening right now, Fuck you, man. What the
If Stephen Miller's listening right now, please, like, why doesn't your forehead wrinkle? Dude, I don't understand. I was listening to his speech, or I was watching his speech at the Charlie Kirk funeral in Arizona, and he was going on this crazy fucking fascist tirade about, like, whatever he was going on. I couldn't even focus on the content because I was genuinely so focused on the fact that this dude's forehead doesn't move.
Yeah.
It looks like he has Botox.
His muscles have atrophied. He's never surprised.
That's what evil does to you.
Yeah. No, evil does just make you look crazy. I think that might just be true.
Laura Loomer, Stephen Miller, fucking Trump with his orange tan. Mm-hmm. That shit, it's crazy, man. It's all JD Vance and his guy liner.
Amen. And like, I respect, do whatever you want with your body, man.
Exactly.
But they're not the ones that believe that.
No.
Fundamentally.
No.
Anyways, I think it's time to get into the news coverage here. We got to talk about Kimmel. Rest in peace, Kimmel.
Yeah, man. This is post-record Jeremy and Gage coming at you right now, because while we were doing the episode, news broke that ABC is bringing back Jimmy Kimmel Tuesday night, coincidentally the night the Kamala Harris book drops.
Let's go.
I think the thing here is pressure works. Of course, they do this as we're in the middle of a conversation about how ABC has been particularly egregious with the capitulation of the Trump administration. But yeah, shouts out Jimmy Kimmel, I guess. Yeah. It was egregious what happened, so I'm glad ABC finally turned around and did the right thing. This is an unfolding story, of course. The news literally just broke not even an hour ago as of the time we're recording this. It will be interesting to see how things develop and to see if Nexstar and Sinclair refuse to broadcast Jimmy Kimmel, despite ABC like producing it and putting it out there. I'm not really sure how this works. I'm very new to this media ecosystem.
That's so real. Yeah, I think the analysis holds for the remainder of the segment you're about to hear.
What? Absolutely.
But just know we are leaving this note now in the future, knowing that Jimmy Kimmel is officially back.
Yes.
He is risen from the dead. He is risen.
He is risen.
So shout out, thanks ABC for not fully capitulating, I guess.
Yeah, we'll thanks ABC for like walking back on it. It'll be interesting to see how Brandon Carr and the administration react.
Real. Enjoy the show.
We missed one fucking episode. I think Thursday was the first episode that we missed in like the history of the show. That's like a regularly scheduled program. And then all of a sudden free speech dies. And then all of a sudden Trump just drastically ramps up his assault on free speech for Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, man. I went into surgery and then I went into surgery. Kimmel's on TV.
Yep.
I come out of surgery. They say, who do you think gave you the elbow? And the Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled, man. It's fucking over.
And nobody's heard from him since.
Nobody's heard from him sinse, man. It's fucked up. I missed one day at the office and Kimmel gets it.
It's fucking crazy. And I'm sure you all know like exactly what happened by this point. Like it's been damn near a week by the time this episode airs. But just in case you didn't, Jimmy Kimmel made not a joke about Charlie Kirk, but a joke about Republicans and a joke about how Trump doesn't seem to be grieving at all, despite public statements that say the contrary. And he got fired for it. The government pressured ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel for that.
I thought it was for him saying that the shooter was one of them. Like they've been pretending that the shooter isn't just one of them.
Either way, he said the MAGA gang is trying to pretend that the shooter is anything but one of them. Yes. And Trump is grieving like how a 4-year-old grieves a goldfish. Okay. And then he played the clip of Trump. I think he was at the Rose Garden, and a reporter asked him about Charlie Kirk, and he said, "Oh yeah, very sad. But have you seen the new ballroom we're building? It's great. 150 years in the making."
We got to be totally clear about something. Trump does not give a shit about Charlie Kirk.
It doesn't seem like it.
He doesn't care.
You don't immediately pivot to the new ballroom that you're building when you're talking about somebody that you like knew and liked dying.
Yeah, and there was the other part where he was like talking about just ahead of the state funeral that they gave him. Trump was talking about like why Charlie Kirk was such a hero or whatever, and he was literally like listing a couple of things. Then he went, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, he just does not give a fuck. Or there was
the fucking joke on the ABC interview. Or
yeah, there was an interview where somebody was talking. I think it was a Fox interview, and the interviewer was talking about how Charlie Kirk like valued free speech, and he would always say this and this about free speech, and Trump was like, well, he doesn't say it now.
That's fucking
and it's like
crazy.
If somebody like me said that, I'd be the target of like death threats. But
if
the president
Laura Loomer heard me say that, she'd be telling Marco Rubio to take away my passport.
Exactly. I'd get deported to Libya.
It's just fundamentally not fair, man. And we have to pretend that guy actually gives a shit. We have to pretend that any of them give a shit when the first thing they did, while his body was still fucking warm, was go and say, yeah, the last thing Charlie Kirk told me was everything that I've been already telling you.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller gets on the fucking interview and he goes, yeah, Charlie Kirk texted me. The last thing he texted me was, I need to keep doing exactly what I'm doing, and now you need to believe me. They just jumped on the opportunity to take advantage of this guy dying tragically.
Yeah, and then fucking JD Vance running Charlie Kirk's show, lamenting lamenting about his family getting like verbally harassed at Disney World.
Yes.
Like none of these people have the sauce to like actually do anything with this. They're just being maximally annoying. The only person I think that really wants to like run with this and make this a sort of like Nazi-esque martyr is Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
But like Stephen Miller's a true believer. I think the rest of them want to have weekends off. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like JD Vance wants to chill. He does not believe in it. He is an empty suit through and through.
JD Vance is such a fucking nerd.
And he sucks, man.
He sucks so bad.
Sucks
and he's
bigly.
not charismatic. He wants to be a podcaster, but he couldn't be a He couldn't do what we fucking do.
So he had to be vice president.
Exactly. He had to be the fucking DEI vice president pick to get all the guys that were kind of worried about Trump before. It's absurd. It's fucked up. But back to just like Kimmel getting firing and why this is focused on free speech. I'm sure you all understand this, but I will reiterate it. The free speech problem here is not that Jimmy Kimmel was fired by a private company for saying something the company didn't like. It's the fact that the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, threatened ABC with like removing broadcasting licenses or whatever. The government, a government official threatened ABC that if they did not do something that the government wanted, they were going to do something that the company would not want.
Yeah.
And so the company fired Jimmy Kimmel for it.
Yeah, it's plain as day. The government said, we're going to punish you unless you get rid of this person.
And then Brendan Carr went and posted GIFs on Twitter about it. He was GIF posting about the censorship that he just did.
And it's like, if it's illegal to say wrong or potentially harmful things on a TV show, then like lock all of Fox News up in Gitmo.
Right?
Like this is not.
Just said we need to kill homeless people last week.
They lie literally nonstop.
Or 2 weeks ago, yeah.
They lie so hard that in court to get away with, not being charged with lying, not being charged with slander, they had to say, oh, Tucker Carlson's entertainment, not news. Because they lie all the fucking time. It's what they do.
It's all they do. Fucking dude, it's absolutely absurd. This is the closest that we can get to the government censoring an individual without them literally saying, Jimmy Kimmel, you're off the air.
Yeah.
Without Brendan Carr going up to ABC Studios and firing Jimmy Kimmel himself. This is the closest that we could get. And that's a massive fucking problem because this has been the right-wing defense all week is that, a private company fired him. A private company fired him because they were made to.
Yeah, because they were pressured and they immediately folded, to be clear. Like ABC isn't like a victim in this process
Absolutely
necessarily.
Not.
And then like parent company or the
broadcast partner that
broadcasters,
distributes ABC shows, Nexstar.
The broadcasters want to complete some mergers.
Exactly. Yeah,
so there's, like,
Nexstar is
capital
doing a
interest,
merger
too.
with Tengen Tenga, whatever the fuck it is, that not only requires FCC approval, but it would also require the FCC to lift a rule about how many like actual stations that they could own after the merger because it would reach the cap. So not only do they need the approval from the FCC just to do the merger, they need special treatment from the FCC to get this done. So they immediately made some moves. Sinclair Broadcasting is another like right-wing broadcaster that owns a bunch of local news stations all over the place. They said they're just going crazy with the, not capitulation, but with the ass kissing. Yeah. They went to the Ryan Walters school of trying to make Trump and the Republicans feel better by doing the most ridiculous thing. And Sinclair made a statement, also a large ABC affiliate, saying that Jimmy Kimmel needs to issue an apology to Charlie Kirk's family. The joke wasn't about Charlie Kirk. And also make a donation to Turning Point USA.
Fucking psychotic.
That's
dog.
Nuts, dude.
It's nuts and it's like, that's corny.
Yeah.
That is incredibly cool. You need to donate to TP USA. Fuck off, dog.
Come on. Exactly. The saucelessness of this administration's fascism. And it just explicitly on display here because why are fascists so often just men with hurt feelings? And why are they going after late night hosts? That's fundamentally like the question here. I think that's like the funny bit here.
Well, I think it's pretty easily summarized in the sense that like conservatives just want to be the dude on the big screen, and they resent late night hosts for having large audiences and making those audiences laugh at conservatives. Like, and I think for a lot of them, people like Benny Johnson and Ben Shapiro and shit, I think the ideology is low key secondary. They just want to have the shows where people laugh at their jokes.
Well, Benny Johnson immediately tweeted a photoshopped picture of himself like on the Jimmy Kimmel promo thing as if he was Jimmy Kimmel. Benny Johnson live. Yeah. Like if that doesn't tell you all you need to know, I don't know what does. These people just want to be famous. Politics, once again, being Hollywood for ugly people.
Yeah, like the ideology, conservative ideology to them is just like a convenient way to get an audience at this point because they can't cut it doing anything else.
It's a way to get people to listen to them.
And they have resent or cultural grievance that other people who make fun of them get their face on the big screen and they want their face on the big screen. So they're happy when the state sort of stomps down on their political enemies, their perceived cultural enemies. And I think that explains a lot of like mainstream conservatism is just people that want to be on TV.
Well, because it's also like, Who cares about late night hosts?
Nobody, man.
I have not seen a clip from late night hosts seen anything from like a late night TV show in years other than the occasional clip that like penetrates my fucking algorithm on TikTok. And that's it. Trump said himself that they're bleeding viewership constantly, that they're not profitable, yet it's such a big deal when they make fun of him.
Yeah.
It's because these people can't stand being made fun of, yet they go and do awful things to others. They just cry bully the whole fucking time.
Yeah, like I don't know who cares that much about late night guys. Like the only good one is John Oliver, and I get Jon Stewart, like Daily Show. Is he late night technically? Jon Stewart, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Like so, there's a few good ones out there, but like fucking Jimmy Kimmel.
But it's like John Oliver doesn't even do it. I'm not too familiar with what Jon Stewart actually does, but like John Oliver doesn't even do it in the way that like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, or like I don't know, is Conan still around? Do it? See, I don't even know. These people are fucking irrelevant. Like it's oh no, you got the fucking 50-year-olds up in arms. You know what I'm saying?
And it's what Trump said, where he's like, oh, 93 or 97% of late night shows they're anti-Trump.
Well, exactly, and it's like that's why I say these people are just men with hurt feelings. And I have that clip from Trump that I do want to play juxtaposed against a statement he made during his inauguration.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. You know, when a late night host is on network television, there is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. That's something that should be talked about for licensing, too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do.
They are allowed to do that explicitly.
It's literally what free speech is like all about, actually. It's free speech exists so you can criticize the government. It's not so that you can go around and like say the N-word and whatnot. It's so that you can speak out against your government without fear of retaliation from them. Yeah,
Trump gets elected. He says free speech is back. And then a few months later, he says, well, unless you're a little bit mean to me or the people I like on TV, then it's not so back and we'll actually take your broadcasting license away.
And once again, this is another example of like the fascist is both weak and strong at the same time.
Yeah.
Because he's going on here and he's saying they're 97% against me. These TV stations and these fucking late night comedians, these late night comedy hosts are so mean to me and using their massive audiences to sway the public against me. But I like still won though, because like they can't do it. They can't make any meaningful difference. But like they're really mean to me and that's a problem because I could have not won, but I did win. Yeah. Fucking Schrodinger's late night host, man. they're both the most influential people in the goddamn country while being the most irrelevant nobodies that no one's ever heard of anymore.
Yeah, like they just want the people on TV to be nice to them, or in the case of conservative influencers, they just want to be the people with the TV show.
Yes.
They just want to have the late night show, but they can't cut it because they're talentless losers. And the only reason they have any kind of relevance is because they grift to a right-wing audience.
Exactly. And now I just have to accept the idea that Trump is seriously floating that he's going to just start removing broadcast licenses from people he doesn't agree with or people that are critical of the regime. That's insane.
Yeah. Unless you pay enough due deference to our favorite podcasters, we're going to take your broadcast license away, or threaten your parent company with like, I don't know, another fucking $15 million lawsuit, like Trump did with ABC back at the beginning of the year.
ABC has been particularly egregious in all this. Terry Moran worked for ABC, correct?
Was he ABC? Did they? Oh my God,
I think
dude.
Terry Moran was ABC. Let me look it up.
He said Stephen Miller's a S-tier hater and he got fired for that. Was he actually ABC?
I don't know. I'm trying to find it right now. Oh, goodness gracious. Ex-ABC anchor sounds alarm on Kimmel suspension from CNN. Yeah, he was ABC. So ABC starts off this like when Trump gets elected, when Trump does this inauguration, they start off by immediately folding on a lawsuit.
Because of the 60 Minutes thing, because they cut out the part where Kamala Harris coughed into a napkin or something.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not settle for like 30 million?
I thought it was 15 or 16 million.
15 or 16 million? Yeah. Either way, amount of money I'm never going to see in my entire life.
Well, and essentially what it was them bribing the Trump administration to not cut their license, right? Because that's what that was.
Yes.
Because if they weren't going to settle this lawsuit, the threat was that the Trump administration would send Brendan Carr, the FCC chair, after them. And so ABC didn't want to deal with it, didn't want to fight it in the courts. They just paid the money to keep operating. And look where you look. And this is exactly the point, right? Like the demands of the fascists never stop.
Yeah.
You paid the 16 million hush money or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, from the AP right here, ABC will give $15 million to Trump's presidential library.
They're still coming after you because Jimmy Kimmel, cornball, talentless, loser, somebody nobody cares about, was too mean to a podcaster that he likes. Like, I'm sorry, but you have to fight. Like, you have to fight back against these people.
Exactly, because it's just getting worse, and it's only gotten worse for ABC.
Yeah.
Once again, they give $15 million to Trump in a settlement at the beginning of the administration. I guess they think they're in the clear. Then they fire Terry Moran, not under threat from anybody else, but just because they're scared of Trump for calling Stephen Miller a world-class hater on his personal Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Again, Brian Kilmeade said we should kill homeless people, and he still has a job.
Exactly. And now the Trump administration has forced ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
They have forced ABC to do censorship on behalf of the government, violating First Amendment rights. It's the only way to look at this situation.
Yeah.
Do they really think that Trump's going to stop? Do they really think that Brendan Carr is satisfied here? Because he's not.
Yeah, and we heard for like more than a year after Joe Biden came into office that he was censoring people online by asking social media platforms to go after COVID misinformation. Yeah. When obviously the threat to freedom there was the disease killing us. But now it's okay when the Trump administration cracks down on, again, a comedian that honestly I don't think anybody cares about when he says something mean about a podcaster.
The funny thing about, because I've also seen the argument this week that like, well, Biden censored fucking Hunter Biden laptop, election misinformation, and COVID stories. Like he worked with Facebook to do that. The funniest thing about that is that issue went to the Supreme Court. That issue went to the 6-3 supermajority Supreme Court, and it was ruled that it was not a violation of free speech.
Yeah.
If anyone is going to be compromised in this situation, it's not the conservative Supreme Court. It's not Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, fucking Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court.
Yeah, like there's always going to be like some questions about free speech anytime the government does anything related to speech. Like it's always going to be a thing. Every government to some extent is going to violate free speech, and we should push back when we can, right? But like the Hunter Biden laptop story, the people in government at the time was fucking Donald Trump. When Joe Biden was running, he was a candidate. He did not have power over the government.
That's true.
And then with the COVID stuff, it's like, yeah, I do think that there should be some, I don't know, terms of service.
There should be safeguards.
Or some kind of, some safeguards to prevent people from dying from misinformation they see online.
Exactly.
I do think that a pandemic necessitates that kind of action.
It's very different when the government, the body that's tasked with the health and safety of the entire country, has a CDC that goes and talks to Facebook and says, hey guys, this is what's wrong about what people are saying about COVID. Could you like throttle this? That's way different than the government saying, you need to shut the fuck up right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just is. Like, I'm sorry,
because you were a little bit mean.
See the difference. You are literally compromised. You know, sometimes it just feels like all the news happens on Monday and Tuesday.
It's messed up.
But my favorite podcast drops episode on Wednesdays. I don't know what to do. It feels like they miss all of it.
That's a curse.
If only there was a platform that I could go to where I could listen to these episodes early, maybe when they record them. Do you have any thoughts?
Boy, do I have a solution for you.
Oh, do tell.
If you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod, you can listen to Head in the Office episodes before the curse of Monday and Tuesday news comes out.
Really? Do tell.
And you get access to commercial-free episodes. And everybody wants commercial-free episodes.
I bet there's also a whole host of other benefits and community engagement that they offer.
And friendship.
Very true.
Who doesn't want friendship?
The most important thing.
Absolutely.
In times like this.
Back to the episode.
And just back to this idea of how fucking Trump won't stop and Brendan Carr won't stop. Brendan Carr, particularly egregious, not only for being the FCC chairman, but being one of the authors of Project 2025. Yep. Huge influential guy when it came to that. He went on a Fox News interview on Thursday night talking about like ABC's pulling of the Kimmel show and said that was, quote, not the last shoe to drop.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to note that Trump had called Kimmel out back when Stephen Colbert was canceled.
Yep.
Donald Trump said, Jimmy Kimmel is next back in July.
And then they made him next.
And then, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like when you're up against an opponent that is looking for a reason, any reason to go after you and your civil liberties, they will eventually find that reason. You can't just keep capitulating because they will continue to find reasons to go after you no matter what.
It's insane. Brendan Carr then went on to also say, quote, "This is a massive shift that's taking place in the media ecosystem, and I think that the consequences are going to continue to flow." The massive shift that's taking place in the media ecosystem is the government entering it.
Yeah.
The government telling you what you can and cannot say.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, the Biden administration never did anything like this. The FCC is supposed to give these broadcasting licenses, but it's not supposed to make content-based decisions. And it's obvious. I mean, Brendan Carr got out there and said, like, this is a content-based decision. Like, Jimmy Kimmel said something bad, so we threatened to revoke the license.
He's going around and justifying it, too. He just recently went on Hannity and said that the FCC will be acting on its obligation to the public interest to try and justify this idea that they're going to start revoking licenses from people. He said, quote, "We at the FCC are going to enforce the public interest obligation. If there's broadcasters out there that don't like it, they can turn their license in." And of course, what he means by a public interest obligation is that anything left-wing is against the public interest because it speaks out against this administration.
Yeah. What fucking public interest does it serve to get Jimmy Kimmel fired for making maybe an insensitive joke
that like 3 people saw?
Yeah.
Before you made him a free speech martyr for some fucking reason.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jimmy Kimmel, of all people.
The lamest fucking thing, man. First, they came for the college students that write op-eds, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a college student that writes an op-ed. Then they came for the late-night host, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a late-night host. Then they're going to come for the podcasters, and then you're not going to get your favorite show anymore.
I mean, low-key, like, podcasters and, like, influencers, just, like, individuals, I feel like, have far more sway over the population at this point than Jimmy Kimmel.
I think it speaks to, like, how old the administration is.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to, like, what old people think of, and also the fact that, like, I think going after individuals on the internet is a lot harder, but they're not doing that for lack of trying now, and I think things might measurably get worse. I believe James Comer recently, did he subpoena or just, like, direct the CEOs of Twitch, Reddit, Discord, and some other platform to come testify in front of Congress about online extremism.
Oh, okay.
Reddit, Discord, and another platform, and Steam were like directly involved in what was being reported on when it came to Tyler Robinson and like the things he had been on and the messages that came out, the guy who shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Twitch had nothing to do with that. They're just going to go after Hassan.
Like fucking congressional testimony about Hassan.
Congressional testimony to get the CEO of Twitch to come in and say, yeah, sure, Hassan's bad, because I don't know, who knows, maybe they'll capitulate too.
There's a non-zero chance that some fucking 75-year-old Republican plays in a video of Hassan, and it's probably going to be the 9/11 moment.
It's 100% going to be the 9/11.
2018 or whatever it was. Like, that's awesome, dude.
Some congressional Republican's going to ask Andrew Cuomo to send him the 9/11 clip, since Cuomo clearly has that shit on deck. And they're going to play it in Congress, and that's going to enter the National Library or wherever.
I can't imagine, like, fucking Gabe Newell or whoever owns Steam. I thought, isn't that dude like a libertarian? There's no way he's going to be like, we should have the government moderate speech online.
No, absolutely not. I can't imagine he's going to do anything. I can't imagine anything's going to realistically come of this, because I think it is a big step further to start going after online content creators.
Yeah.
There's no, like, direct levers like broadcast licenses that they can remove from, like, Twitch or YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what the Biden administration tried to do with TikTok for Israel, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to ban the entire platform or force a sale so that an American company can oversee the content that's being produced, so it's not so anti-Israel. And now look at what's happening. Fucking Fox is a part of the investor group.
Now we might
Fox
get
News.
fucking Fox News TikTok, man.
Yeah.
It's hell out here. And who knows, maybe there is some fucking secret mechanism they can use to go after fucking online internet things, considering I had no idea how, like, broadcasters worked before this now, but I feel like I've been forced to be made aware.
I mean, part of it's already happening, right? Like, Meta put out those new guidelines about how, like, attacks on somebody's gender isn't actually considered hate speech and stuff like that. Like, they've already bent the knee quite a bit. We haven't seen, like, full-scale censorship just yet, but, I mean, who knows, right? Like, what's stopping the Trump administration from tapping Mark Zuckerberg on the shoulder and saying, hey, ban all content that's, like, I don't know, mean to J.D. Vance. No more of those J.D. Vance memes with the propeller hat. Those are not allowed anymore.
Well, because that's when we get into this, like, topic of hate speech, because this has also come up a lot this week. Pam Bondi said that she was going to just straight up go after Pam Bondi said that the administration would, quote, absolutely target protesters engaging in, quote, hate speech, as well as businesses that refuse to print memorial vigil posters for Charlie Kirk.
Didn't Charlie Kirk say there's no such thing as hate speech?
I think so.
Like, wasn't he one of those guys that was like, hate speech is free speech?
Yes.
We are bastardizing.
And I mean, like, it literally is. The Supreme Court has, like, held that up many times. And it's like, as the Attorney General of the United States of America, you should know that you can engage in hate speech. It is inexcusable to be in that high of a position of power and not know what has been like routinely tested by the Supreme Court.
Well, Pam Bondi should get fired for bastardizing Charlie Kirk's memory. She should lose her job, just like everybody else is losing their job for making fun of this, man.
She later like amended the statement to say that no, we're not going to go after hate speech. We're just going to go after speech that tries to get people to incite people to violence. Which isn't constitutionally protected like hate speech is. But I think the distinction there is a moot.
Yeah.
Because what they are trying to say is that calling conservatives Nazis incites them to violence and is hate speech.
Yeah.
If you're taking, there's a line here. If you're taking the route that is any criticism of any group can incite somebody to maybe want to do something bad to that group, then you are just not allowed to criticize anymore. And that's bad.
Yeah.
I can't even say that's a slippery slope because that's the bottom of the slope. That's when you've descended to a point that you may not be able to return from when the government is prosecuting any and everyone who is critical of their actions because they're saying that it makes them scared and they don't like it.
And I think the line is like criticizing somebody for their ideology or the ideas that they espouse versus criticizing somebody and dehumanizing them based on their immutable characteristics.
Exactly.
And of course there's like, there's degrees here, right? Like if we were to say some shit like they're Nazis, you should go out and do something about it, then like, yeah, right, we're calling for violence. But we don't do that. And the vast majority of people online don't do that, but they want to use it as a way to crack down on leftists. And according to what the FBI is attempting to do with like transgender ideology, quote unquote, they want to crack down on anybody that like is just like pro LGBTQ.
They're trying to say that just like trans people are terrorists, right?
Yeah.
Who fucking believes that?
The
Genuinely,
idea is,
like, what regular person that fucking walks around and just lives their fucking life, engaging in the internet a regular amount, going to work, supporting their family, actually believes that all trans people are these violent lunatics that this administration is painting them out to be?
I think what Kash Patel is trying to do is create a new subset of like terrorism charges for trans individuals, like people who are trans that commit crimes. And then I think some like think tank within the Heritage Foundation, it's always a fucking think tank, sent like a document or a memo or a policy letter or whatever over to the administration, and they're trying to just label like transgender ideology or violent transgender ideology as its own form of terrorism as well, which would include, activists or people like us that say, hey, trans people are cool and should be left alone. Because apparently that is violent, terrorizing
Absolutely
rhetoric.
Huge on that, leaving trans people alone, dude. I don't understand too, and this is going to come back with a vengeance later when we get to the extras and talk about a new liberal think tank. It's always a think tank.
It's always a think tank, man.
That just like is sauceless and has no good ideas and shouldn't be taken seriously, but somehow they're being astroturfed by billionaires. It all comes, so much of this will come down to the idea that once again, liberals don't stand for anything and let Republicans run away with whatever narratives that they want. If liberals take a fucking stand against fucking transphobia and don't endlessly capitulate because they think they need to say that, oh yeah, maybe it is unfair for trans girls to compete in sports, even though nobody fucking actually cares, we don't get to the point where Republicans can call every trans person a terrorist.
Well, yeah, and it's all about just reframing the narrative, right? You don't got to play on their turf and argue like, well, if you look at the statistics, actually, this, and this is actually true about trans people in sports. No, you do the Tim Walz thing and just call them weird.
Exactly.
And say that people don't give a fuck about trans people participating in sports. Trans people are 1% of the U.S. population. They aren't like participating in high school or college sports en masse. What people are actually worried about is rent.
And exactly, and it's like you don't have to fucking engage with any of the trans sports bullshit or even like minors engaging in gender affirming care. If you want to be principled about it and you want to take a stand, you go and say, I don't know, fucking I listen to doctors who know what they're talking about. I don't think I know better. You can say, sure, whatever, I'm going to listen to doctors on it if you don't want to personally fucking comment. And that's a completely acceptable take because you should listen to doctors. You should listen to people who dedicate their lives to the study of a field and have conclusions about that to make. It's just, we should not be baking conservative anti-intellectualism into how we argue about things and how we engage with politics. You, in fact, can lead a narrative. You can, in fact, just lead. They're like allergic to creating a narrative and like, and to be clear, it's not just like telling stories. It's creating a narrative to sell a certain political project, and that is just doing politics. Yes.
And it seems a lot of the time like Democrats or these liberals in these think tanks that view like earning public favor as like an unfortunate thing, like an unfortunate requirement of their job rather than like the point. You know what I mean? So that sucks.
Yeah, no, it sucks bigly. It sucks huge. Another angle of this whole like free speech is dead censorship debacle is that like broadly Trump, Stephen Miller, and JD Vance are trying to push this idea that left-wing nonprofits are paying for every single protest and piece of unfavorable speech against the Trump administration, so much so that we are probably going to see frivolous RICO charges brought against shit like the Ford Foundation or George Soros's Open Society Foundation, places that these people have named as targets that they want to investigate and look at. We might just get hit with the RICO.
Hiddo gets hit with the RICO,
like,
man.
It's absurd. And I have a quote here from the conservative watchdog group Capital Research Center, which monitors money and politics. Quote, "When the left has had power, it has gone after conservatives and their speech. So I am thrilled to see the administration promising to investigate the left-wing nonprofit center and hold people accountable."
It's just not true. Joe Biden just didn't go after speech. It's just not true.
It's just not true at all, man. And to think that like nonprofits are seriously running around here organizing all these protests or actions against Trump is one, fucking insane. Typical leftist organization can't do fucking anything. And two, the fact that that's harmful is like a completely other standard deviation removed from the actual problem.
And I've been seeing this wicked conflation between like online cancel culture from like 2018 to 2022 and the state literally bearing down on individuals and getting their shows canceled because they said the wrong string of words. Like the cancel culture that we saw online, as annoying as it might have been to some people, was born out of a desire to like not allow racism and transphobia and like hate spread in these online spaces. And what we're seeing right now is not just a reaction from the right. It is the right using state power to silence people that they think are their enemies in the media. These things are just not the same. Like there just is no comparison between the two whatsoever. And the conflation has just been fucking wicked.
Cancel culture was like a bunch of individuals coming together and saying, I'm not going to support this person who, I don't know, did a sex crime.
Yeah.
That is not what's happening here. This is the state bearing down on an individual just because they don't agree with them.
Yeah, like, sure, there may have been some instances you can point to, like post-George Floyd, BLM movement and stuff like that, when maybe some conservatives were getting fired for being racist online, right? That's totally a thing that can happen. And then you have the flip happening right now, people saying bad things about Charlie Kirk online and then them getting fired. We could maybe even say those are almost equal. I don't know that I would even concede that point, but sure, for the sake of argument, just accept it for a moment. That neither of those are anywhere near the same thing as JD Vance going on the Charlie Kirk show and saying like we should get them fired. Like it's just not the same thing. No. The power of the state is so different than the power of an individual sort of leveraging their audience maybe to get you fired from your job. It's just completely different things. We should be way more terrified of the state using their power against individuals than just individuals fighting each other online.
And the state will be using their power against individuals. What they do last Wednesday, they declared Antifa a terrorist organization. The point of declaring Antifa, which is Antifa even fucking real?
It's more of an ideology.
There are like fucking Antifa groups in Portland with like 6 people in them. Antifa's not a fucking thing.
It's not an organization.
Especially in this political environment right now. Nobody's cared about Antifa except for conservatives since like BLM. It doesn't exist in any real functional capacity, and it's not going to be what they're going to say that it is. The point of designating Antifa as a terrorist organization is so that they can, 1, hit nonprofits with RICOs, and 2, hit protesters with RICO charges as well.
And like Antifa literally stands for anti-fascist.
Type.
I would think that anybody in a civilized country would be anti-fascist because fascism is bad.
You ought to be.
Yeah.
But these guys don't
pointing to the sign. Good things are good, bad things are bad.
But these guys don't even pretend to be anti-fascist because they aren't. One. But I wanted to play another clip here. This one's going to be about a minute talking about a deputy AG and the protest that happened when Trump showed up to dinner in D.C. You remember those women like yelled at him?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So the first bit of the clip will be like the clip of the protest, and then a government official talking about it. Very important on this being a Trump administration official.
Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time!
I went there to show how safe, and it was safe. I mean, the woman is just a mouthpiece. All she was a paid agitator. And you have a lot of them. And I've asked Pam to look into that in terms of RICO, bringing RICO cases against it, criminal RICO, because they should be put in jail.
How would something like that protest fall under a RICO charge?
So is it, again, sheer happenstance that individuals show up at a restaurant where the president is trying to enjoy dinner in Washington, D.C., and accost him with vile words and vile anger, and meanwhile he's simply trying to have dinner? Does it mean it's just completely random that they showed up? Maybe. But to the extent that it's part of an organized effort to inflict harm and terror and damage to the United States, there's potential investigations there.
But were those women in the restaurant inflicting harm or terror or damage by protesting the president of the United States? I mean, they were just shouting basically in his vicinity.
Repeat what you just said. I mean, honestly, so you're asking whether there's damage done by 4 individuals screaming and yelling at the president of our United States while he's trying to have dinner.
He's such a bitch.
He's trying to say we need to arrest these people because they were mean to Trump. That's
Words
what
or violence.
is. He said they were spewing vile hatred. He's acting like they just got hit with the book of vile darkness, dog. Like, he's acting like really? You mean to tell me that these protesters just happened to see Trump and then get mad and yell at him? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
They expect you to believe that it's far-fetched for people to be upset with Trump and protest him when they see him out in public, because this restaurant, it's a public place.
Yeah.
Not public in the sense that it's owned by the government, but public in the sense that you can fucking walk in and out of it.
Yeah,
It's not like he was behind closed doors.
Yeah, we've been told for years that words are not violence, therefore we shouldn't use somebody's words to like go after them or hit them with charges or whatever. And for the most part, I agree with that, but it's also like just an unbelievable level of being bitch made here.
Oh, absolutely. This is cribling. This is the lamest, most loser shit that I've ever heard in my entire life.
He already conceded the point at the beginning because he was like, could they just be here randomly? Maybe. Oh, well, then don't bring charges.
But they're not.
Because you
George
just
Soros is
conceded.
paying them to come here. And you seriously expect me to believe that it is like terror and violence for 4 like white women to go up to Trump and say, "Free Palestine, Trump's the Hitler of our time"?
Yeah, I'm sorry, dog. I thought I lived in America
Exactly.
where freedom was a thing that we had.
We're supposed to be able to say that stuff.
It's supposed to be my God-given right to call my politicians Hitler.
Yes.
Like that's my right as an American to run up to my politicians and call him Hitler. And we're talking about the president here. He was acting like he's just some guy going out for dinner and it was harassed by a bunch of other private citizens. No, he's the president.
One of the most powerful people in the world.
If anybody deserves your hate and animosity, as I'm sure Republicans would have agreed under Joe Biden, it is the president of the United States.
Yes.
They're the person that literally has been elected to represent everybody in the country. Why should we not use the rights that we have against our government to hate on them?
And it's like, I can't get over the fact that this is all so lame.
Yeah.
They are chronically lame, dude. Getting mad at people yelling at them. That's it. You were mean to the president, therefore we're going to bring the state against you.
Mm-hmm. You can't be mean to the president or the vice president or the suite of protests or podcasters that we happen to listen to.
Motherfuckers were driving around Michigan with like vinyl thing images on their truck beds of Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi tied up in them.
Hogtied, yeah.
And that was fine. That's low-key funny. But, like, we got to deal with this?
Well, because
you can't even say mean words to him?
I fuck with derogatory depictions of politicians, man.
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. Yeah. And I think, I don't, like, look, and I can disagree.
Free speech.
I can disagree with what's being depicted, but it is your right to do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
You know, like, you're not doing anything bad necessarily.
It's not an incitement to violence. You're not fucking hurting anybody. It's not violence to call somebody Hitler. Go to, like, any online argument. Mm-hmm. Straight up. Like, and if you want to fucking stop being called the Nazi, stop acting like one.
Yeah, and that is the thing, is like, I think we're sort of striking a nerve with these people by calling out their actions, and so naturally they lash out, and it just so happens that they got Kimmel this time because there was like an ounce of a pretext, although even that's not really there based on what he said about Kirk, or what he said about Republicans' response to Kirk.
It was like the most milquetoast joke you could have made about the situation fucking possible.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's like what it was.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think that the Trump administration going after late night hosts is a sign of extreme weakness.
It is.
Like going after, and I'm sorry if you're a Kimmel enjoyer, but like going after late night hosts that like really nobody cares about, I think is just a sign of extreme weakness, because right now Trump's approval rating is falling. He's underwater in the polling on like every individual issue. So they're lashing out and going after people in media that they think they can get a cultural dub off of, I don't know, silencing. And that's what they're doing here. And it looks incredibly weak.
Yeah.
And everybody can see it full view.
conservatism is entirely motivated by just like grievance politics.
Yeah.
They think they are treated unfairly. They think that white guys are treated so unfairly in society that they have to go and just oppress people and do the most authoritarian thing possible. And another point illustrating this, not J.D. Vance, the old vice president, Mike Pence, was being in an interview this week where he was asked about the free speech stuff going on. And he said, like, oh, do I respect, like, your right to do free speech? Yeah, but, like, you can't do things that are thoughtless and crass.
Yes,
in fact, you can.
Yeah.
You're supposed... That's the whole fucking
In fact,
point, man.
yeah, I was going to say,
And
in
it's
fact,
like-
the free speech, the First Amendment is low-key there to protect speech that you don't like.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
That's like the fact that he's talking about thoughtless and crass speech. It's like you literally just don't want people to make fun of you. You
Yeah.
don't want people to make fun of the people on your side. You can't fucking handle it.
Yeah, and like we've made the argument for years that free speech doesn't mean there's no social consequences. And it doesn't mean that if you get into a crowded theater and start yelling fire, that nothing's going to happen to you, right? Like you can be expected even to face some legal repercussions.
Of course.
But it's a whole different thing when we're talking about political comedy. and even again, I'm sorry to the Kimmel enjoyers, but to call what he did comedy is kind of straining it. You know what I mean? It's just political speech. Like, I'm sorry, but we're not talking about incitements to violence. We're talking about Jimmy Kimmel making like a mild joke.
Yes.
At the expense of the Republicans, but apparently that's not allowed anymore. And to pull a quote from Andor, the need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural, right? They need to lock down these sort of culture war grievances that they have, and they need to go after people that are viewed as like their enemies in the culture war because their goal is to break you down and control you and make you feel as though their power is insurmountable. But of course it isn't. This itself is a sign of weakness.
Shout out Nemec's manifesto.
Yeah.
Wise words.
Wise words, man. That's fucking Kimmel.
Yeah, that's fucking Kimmel. That's the free speech update this week. Next week, I don't know. We maybe not won't even fucking be here.
We might be state propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, guys. I've revised I've talked with Brendan Carr personally.
Yeah.
And he really explained to me why what Jimmy Kimmel said was like awful and bad, and why he needed to be taken off the air and why it wasn't a violation of free speech. And I think, you know what? Maybe it is going a step too far to make fun of the president. I mean, he tries really hard.
It's crazy that like Brendan Carr, one of the authors of Project 2025, like he wrote the communications section of that 900-page document. Conservatives put their entire ideology into a PDF before the election, and now they are carrying out that exact plan, Project 2025. And we can do nothing about it.
It's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we just have to pretend like they're not being evil on purpose, like knowingly evil. Like Brendan Carr used to be like a free speech warrior, free speech absolutist.
All of these people pretended to be free speech absolutists until they got in power and they could go after the people that criticize them, the people that hurt their feelings.
Yeah,
and then they do. And it's crazy just going back to like the white guys and grievance policies things. We are in a political environment right now where white guys are praised for doing the bare minimum. You fucking see it in our reviews every goddamn week, right? Everybody talks about the college educated white men in New York who are voting for Zoran.
Yeah, vote like a white man.
They're praised like crazy. White men are up 1 billion right now.
Yeah, but white man cultural grievances also unfortunately have the power of the state behind them right now.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
It's insane. You can't make fun of conservatives. You can't make fun of any instance of anything that they do. But back when George Floyd was killed, we had to endure years of memes that are still going on right now.
Steven Crowder did a reenactment.
Literally, there were people that took pictures of them and their friends kneeling on each other's necks to be like, no, it couldn't happen. Haha. We had people smearing their name. We had Candace Owens going and saying that Breonna Taylor was a fucking drug dealer after she was gunned down unjustly, and there still hasn't been like justice in that case. And yet you can't fucking say anything right now without the state yelling at you.
Yeah, but if you're not properly deferential to the administration's favorite podcaster, then you could lose your license, you could lose your job, you could get fired, whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Speaking of things that are crazy, we gotta shift gears a minute, man. What a crazy fucking week.
Yeah.
What a crazy, insane week.
The congregation is missing someone. And that someone, dear listener, is you. The congregation awaits you over on our Discord. If you go into the description of this episode right now, there will be a link to join the Head in the Office Discord where you will find more than 1,000 like-minded individuals for you to interact with. And maybe most importantly, we'll be there.
1,000 members strong. It is a burgeoning community of Hittoheads.
That's right.
Ready to receive you into their arms. Make you a part of the community. Vest you as a Hittohead.
Over on Discord, we have discussions. You can interact with other Hittoheads. And maybe, for some fun, we can do some community events. And we know that you want to be a part of that. Only available over on the official Head in the Office Discord.
we got to zoom out because we've been looking at our own government, and it's time to look at our own government still, but like in conjunction with another government that we talk about a lot on the show.
And that's Israel.
That's Israel.
And usually when we talk about Israel, it's either military shit that they're doing, conducting a genocide, or just like striking every country that they can reach around them. Or we talk about how Democrats and Republicans are sort of contending with the issue here at home. And that's usually taking place on like a federal level.
Yes.
But to my surprise, as I was reading through this story, we have to talk about fucking state legislators. State legislators. Not your U.S. representatives, not the people that go to Congress, that go to D.C. People that are elected to represent you at a state level, taking a paid trip to Israel.
People who have no bearing whatsoever on foreign policy.
No, not at all. They regulate fucking the liquor wholesale in your state.
People who nobody knows.
Yeah, people who nobody knows are going to Israel. So last week, a delegation of 250 state legislators visited Israel as a part of the quote-unquote 50 States One Israel conference. First of all, fucking red flag. What does 50 States One Israel mean?
Literally.
Well, what does that mean?
I guess we're just fucking... this is also fucking dumb.
Yeah. Every single state was represented at this conference, often by a bipartisan delegation. And again, fear not. No taxpayer dollars were spent on this. They didn't spend their own money that comes out of your pockets as a taxpayer. All of it was paid for by the state of Israel. They got an all expenses paid trip. Your state legislators got an all expenses paid trip to Israel as they're conducting a genocide right now.
So fucking cool, man. And this is all just so that they can go back to their states and fucking sign anti-BDS laws.
Yes.
Like, that's it.
Like, explicitly, yeah, because reportedly they met with a bunch of, like, different Israeli officials. They toured the country. To your point about anti-BDS stuff, at one point, Gideon Sa'ar, the foreign minister of Israel, urged lawmakers in attendance during a speech to pass anti-BDS laws in their respective states. This stands for, obviously, anti-boycott, divestment, and sanction laws.
It was literally to get them to do anti-BDS laws.
Yes.
Nice.
And these laws often consist of not giving contracts to companies that do BDS against Israel, or forbidding public investment into entities that are doing BDS. And to be clear, anti-BDS laws punish private companies for choosing to do boycotts against a specific nation. Like, it is when a company on its own decides that they are not going to buy from Israeli companies, for example. That's who anti-BDS laws target. That's fucking crazy. Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know from the Supreme Court, corporations are people and can make their own decisions and have freedoms. Unless you're going against Israel, then we can crack down with the power of the state on you.
Oh my fucking God, man.
And that was the purpose of this conference, of course, was to give lawmakers a free trip and to essentially bribe them to pass anti-BDS laws if their state doesn't already have one.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a time. Anti-BDS laws, while we're talking about free speech, also just a violation of free speech as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy for your government to say you have to do business with Israel.
Yeah, it's often just like Israel, right?
Yeah.
It's not like U.S. allies.
No, yeah, we don't have fucking anti-BDS laws for the
Egypt,
EU.
or the EU.
For
yeah.
Egypt, for the UK, for Canada. In fact, we're trying to stop people from doing anything with them. We're trying to ruin all of our partnerships with countries across the world, except for Israel, really low key.
Yeah.
What a fucking wonderful time, man.
So again, bipartisan state legislators, man. That's what gets me is like, I expect U.S. Congress people to do that. They all take the indoctrination trip when it's their first year in Congress.
Yep.
It gets paid for by AIPAC. They show up and they get the tours and they talk to all the officials and whatever. But fucking state legislators, man.
Yeah.
Go fix the roads.
I bet they were like geeks to do it.
Pass
too,
the
because,
education budget.
Nobody cares about state legislators. I'm sorry, nobody does ever.
Yeah.
They are the most down ballot of the down ballot races that you could ever fucking possibly conceive of.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know my state legislators.
Well, and they do have like an important amount of influence over your life.
They do.
In
It's
terms of
important
policy.
to know your state legislator. I'm just bad at it because I moved.
Yeah.
But like fucking, I bet they were geeks to get the Israel trip. If Richie Torres can say that his first trip abroad was to Israel and it changed his life and it changed how he views things and come back the staunchest genocide defender in Congress, then what does that do to a state legislator that usually gets like no attention outside of crazy controversies?
Yeah, they get a free trip from the state of Israel. They're geeked about that. And if they didn't already support Israel, then they will be doing so now for sure because they got a free trip. And they got a talking to. They got to they were made to feel important by all of these Israeli ministers.
And that's all it is for these people is just getting free things and made to feel important.
Yeah, when you get more, as we've been saying for a long time, as you get closer and closer to the local level of politics, to the ground level, a lot of these people are just insane.
Yeah.
Like, because it takes, like, if you get into Congress, you're pretty important at that point, and you can get into Congress with, like, quote unquote moderate views.
Yeah.
But on a local level, you got to just love the job. You got to love the game, because you do not get any fame associated with it at all. You run for, like, a local county commission, even you run for, like, a state legislator position, you're not necessarily set up for something higher.
Yeah.
You're doing it for the love of the game.
For sure. Or like school board.
Yeah, school board. Yeah,
board,
especially.
you sign up to be your local county comptroller. Oh, you just love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say the most egregious part about it all, obviously, is that, like, they went to Israel amidst an ongoing genocide. And while they were there, literally while they were in Gaza for this, like, 4-day trip or whatever, or while they were in Israel for this 4-day trip, Smotrich literally said that they were going to turn Gaza into a quote unquote real estate bonanza. And, quote, we've done the demolition phase, which is always the first phase of urban renewal. Now we need to build, and it's much cheaper. That was Smotrich while they were there.
That's the government, dude. They're literally killing people in Gaza as we fucking speak. They're blowing up buildings as we speak. And he's like, it's going to be so sick to buy it up. Yeah. To buy it all up and make cool beachfront property.
He called it a demolition phase.
They're just doing the fucking Trump thing. That is soulless. That is evil, dude. I can't stress it enough. Still, just like the litany of images we're subject to on social media of what's actually going on here. This is a live streamed genocide, and we have the dudes doing it saying, I cannot wait to buy property.
Even the
landlords.
Even the UN was like, hey guys, I think this might be a genocide now.
Yeah, the fucking Canada, Australia, and the UK just said we're recognizing Palestine as a state, which, like, cool. Yeah. I mean, I'll accept things that move the needle further towards the good side.
Yeah, humanity.
But, like, Jesus fucking Christ, man, what wanting to be a landlord does to a motherfucker, dude.
Yeah. Like, they're using the same language that Trump used to talk about it now. Like, essentially, we're going to go in and have a bunch of beachfront property.
It's like he normalized it for them.
Yeah. And of course, like, they're making plans to expel all the Palestinians as well, looking for neighboring countries to take them in. Like, it's ethnic cleansing. It's terrible.
It's bad and it sucks.
It's bad and it sucks. And if you're a state legislator, you have no business going on fucking state-sponsored trips literally anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking stay in your state and do the job. You can go travel abroad in your free time, but Jesus Christ, especially to Israel right now, fucking insane, dog.
Yeah. I would not be visiting a place that's doing it. Me, when I live in 1941 Germany, in 1941 US, I think I'm going to go visit Germany.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a cool place to be right now.
Yeah, as they're talking about the final solution, like actively. Anyways, that's that fucking bullshit that I had to read about yesterday.
Yeah, that's
God. It's so stupid, dude. Why are you're a state legislator? You are, like, straight up unimportant on the foreign policy scene.
Why does everything suck so bad right now, dude? It's fucking exhausting pulling up the news apps and having to listen to having to take late night hosts seriously, having to take fucking state legislators seriously because they just got bought by Israel, and having to do all the shit. And then on the back end of it, I still have to, like, go around and try to explain what AIPAC does without making it sound like there's a Jewish cabal that runs the fucking world, because that's where people are going. We've had conversations multiple times about how anti-Semitism rising on the left precisely because of all the bad shit that's happening. It all fucking sucks.
And that's bad.
I condemn anti-Semitism.
Yeah, it's just people don't feel like doing the intellectual work of, like, understanding how the money moves and the fact that it's actually Christian evangelicals that fuck with Israel more than American Jewish folks do, but whatever.
Yes.
Oh, it's rough out here, man. Anyways, let's talk about some more rough stuff.
Yeah, some more rough stuff. Trump, when he was in the UK this week, decided to announce that he wants to retake the abandoned airbase in Kabul.
Born just in time to deploy to the Middle East, man.
They made a massive stink about Joe Biden pulling out. Joe Biden's disastrous bungled pullout of Afghanistan, even though he followed Trump's plan that he set in place before Joe Biden got into office.
Yeah.
The fucking Biden failed the Afghanistan withdrawal because of Trump's plan, blah, 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 whatever. It was Biden's fault. Now we're going back into Afghanistan. We just had them pretend for, like, the last 3-4 years that they were always against the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. They were always against the wars in the Middle East, just for Trump to say, yeah, we need again.
Like, for what reason, too?
Yeah.
Like
he said it was because it was the closest thing to, like, China's nuclear facilities. So it's like, oh, we just want to...
So we're staging ground for war, essentially.
Yeah, we just want to, like, do to China what Israel did to Iran? Like, what?
So we just want to, go in and occupy Afghanistan real quick so that we can, just in case China decides to use some nukes or something like that?
I don't think there's a diplomatic solution here.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows, man? But it's just why?
Yeah, putting boots on the ground back in the Middle East. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, hell yeah.
Need that, absolutely.
Fucking born too early to deploy to the Middle East, born too late to deploy to the Middle East, born just in time
That's right,
to deploy to the Middle East.
That's right. We also have some news bringing it back home about impending government shutdowns, both in the state of Michigan and federally. We are running up on both deadlines. For the state of Michigan, by the way, we had a deadline of July 1. That was the sort of self-imposed deadline that our government set for itself. Could not reach a deal because of the Republicans that control the House here in Michigan.
They are just playing hardball with it. They want to absolutely gut funding for anything good.
Yeah, and now we are fully running up against the clock, and shit's going to shut down bigly.
Yes.
But like low-key, I kind of want to see what it will look like if both the federal and state government shut down.
I think it would certainly be interesting. I don't know when the last time that's like ever happened before was. So maybe I should look that up to try and understand the circumstance I'm going to be living through. Or maybe these
in
are just
2 weeks.
maybe these are just unprecedented times. When the Kamala Harris book tour comes out and you're all enjoying sitting for your fucking 4-hour episode of Hiddo while we talk about the book, I'm going to be wondering what functions I can and cannot access anymore. And that's just how that's going to be. But just to look ahead, I learned before we started recording today that if the Michigan government does shut down, stores can no longer place liquor orders, brother. They're coming for your alcohol. And then here's an excerpt from an article. At the time, the Whitmer administration said more than 150 road construction projects would have been halted. Traffic's already crazy. They're already building so much on the road.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I don't want that to take longer.
The native plants, the orange cones popping up, man.
Yeah, parks would have been closed, lottery games would have stopped, and the state's Liquor Control Commission would have stopped accepting retail orders for spirits once the government shuts down. They're taking away your alcohol, folks.
You can't drink and gamble.
Matt Hall and the Michigan Republicans are stopping you from drinking and gambling.
I thought this was America.
That's the point of being here.
Exactly.
It's fucked up, man. They just dropped Lions lottery tickets.
Fucking de facto prohibition. What are we doing?
We're going to get motherfuckers smuggling shit from fucking Illinois.
Yeah.
Get people bringing things from Ohio again. They're going to go down to Ohio for fun.
We're going to be smuggling liquor in once again. Hey, man, set those fucking trade networks back up.
It's fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
it's
looking real bad for us. And the one other thing on the government shutdown we have is something that Chuck Schumer said yesterday for us on the Sunday shows. Again, we record on Mondays, of course. Chuck Schumer is facing a sort of dilemma here, right? Because the Republican Party has been told by Donald Trump to essentially not talk to Democrats in this process.
Yes.
Push through a budget, threaten a government shutdown, and essentially force Democrats in the Senate to get on board so they can get to that 60-vote threshold. They can't do reconciliation here. They need an actual government budget in order to not trigger a government shutdown. So Trump is trying to just strong-arm them. And I will say, I think they took a vote on the budget package, and the only Democrat to vote for it was John Fetterman. So fucking shout out Fetterman. I don't know exactly what was in the budget, but evil, most likely.
Most likely.
So Chuck Schumer right now is sort of faced with a difficult dilemma because the bill's gonna pass in the House. Republicans just have a majority, but they need some Democrats in the Senate. And Chuck Schumer is not committing to actually shutting the government down if the Trump administration doesn't make some concessions here. And I have a clip that I want us to play of Chuck Schumer on these Sunday shows essentially being asked, like, what are you going to do if they don't negotiate? So let's take a listen.
And I hope and pray that Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past. That's how shutdowns have been avoided in the past.
And if he doesn't, I'm just confirming here, you will vote no. Is that correct?
We are hoping... Dana, we are hoping that he will negotiate with us.
Come on.
So far, he hasn't. And we've had 2 bills in the House and Senate, and neither of them have passed. Our Democrats are firm. We need to get something done to relieve the distress the American people are in.
Okay, that sounded like a yes, but you can confirm that, and then I want to move on. Is that accurate?
Yeah. The bottom line is we must.
He won't commit to it, dude.
We must get a better bill than what they have. Plain and simple.
The silence is fucking deafening there.
Yeah.
I hope and I pray. We are so far past the point of hopes and prayers. This government sucks. I don't want it to work.
This is why nobody fucks with the Democratic Party, because you say shit like Trump is literally killing people with these Medicaid cuts. And then when the budget process rolls around, you say, I want a bipartisan deal. You think this party, the Republican Party, is literally killing people. And you say, oh, but I want to work with them and get a bipartisan deal. Like, the rhetoric just does not match up whatsoever. It's completely inconsistent.
But like compromise. I'm fighting for the spirit of the nation, Jack. Like compromise and disagreement and bipartisanship and all these fucking fake fucking words that don't mean anything anymore because the Republicans are so far off the goddamn rails.
Yeah. Chuck Schumer should get out here and say the Trump administration is literally trying to kill people. We just did one of the largest transfers of wealth in this nation's history with the One Big Beautiful Bill. The Trump administration is sweeping people off the streets. They are occupying our nation's cities. We are going to shut this government down unless we can get some concessions on this stuff. Unless we can get commitments that they will stop doing this. We can claw back the ICE funding. We can give the Medicaid funding back. But like, I just don't see that energy anywhere.
And it's like, I know Chuck Schumer is fearful that, like, if they shut down the government, Democrats are going to be blamed for it, because that's what he was fearful of when he didn't shut down the government previously, but he should have. But I'm pretty sure fucking voters don't blame the opposition party when the government shuts down.
Sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do, but like, it's so obvious that things are wrong right now.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that what the Trump administration is doing is crazy right now. This is the only thing you have to fight back. Use it.
Yeah.
Fight back.
People would blame the Democratic Party for the shutdown if it was just like unprompted.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like when we were having discussions with, like during the budgeting process through like 2022 and 2023, all these talks about Republicans shutting down the government, they would have been blamed for that if they did it in the House once they won the House back, because it was essentially unprompted. Like things were fine.
It's also Joe Biden was the president back then.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's harder to pin things on opposition when the opposition holds no levers of power in the government. Yeah. It's harder to make the general public who failed their fucking civics class think that the Democrats are responsible for the shutdown when Trump is the president. The buck stops there for most people.
And again, you just need to consolidate the message. If you get asked, which of course they would, why you chose to not vote for this bill and why you shut down the government, you say healthcare costs are more expensive for everybody literally everywhere. They're kidnapping people off the streets that are occupying our nation's cities, and this needs to stop. They're being authoritarians. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. But Chuck Schumer we can't even get him to commit to shutting down the government in the case that they don't come together for a fucking bipartisan deal.
Yeah.
It's absurd, man. It's absurd. This is one of the few moments where the Democrats have a little bit of leverage to extract some concessions and really make a strong point in terms of messaging, and they're fumbling it again.
And it's also, we knew back during the first shutdown talks that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump did not want to shut down. They told you they didn't want to shut down. That wasn't some 5D chess move to get you to actually do a shutdown or something like that. They didn't want it because they recognized they would be blamed for it.
Yeah.
Do it and let them take the blame for it. Do it and let people be mad at them, and maybe force the people that claim to represent them, the Republicans in the Senate, actually put out a bill that's going to be good for people and not hurt people.
Yeah.
Actually pass a budget that's decent.
If Republicans wanted a shutdown, they could just let it happen.
Yeah.
They could have let it happen months ago.
Control it.
Yeah, the Democrats have no power to stop a shutdown if that's what Republicans wanted. But J.D. Vance went around back a couple of months ago when this whole budgeting process was happening before and told a bunch of Republicans, like, we cannot let the government shut down because we'll be blamed for it. Like, we know what will make them hurt in this instance. It's right there in front of us, and we have the opportunity to do it. And I think Chuck Schumer's probably going to cave.
And it's crazy because, like, let me spit some game deal. Let me let you guys in on insider knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries drafted a letter, I believe, over the weekend. Strongly
worded letter, baby.
Strongly worded letter demanding that the Trump administration meet with them for negotiations. When I see news that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer write a letter, I immediately write it off. It's like, okay, whatever, they have to do this, I guess, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't mean anything. But what gets me, and what I think will also get you guys, is that the DNC will push stuff like this to their networks of like influencers that are affiliated with them and nonprofits that are affiliated with them, people they know that have like media savvy or a following or whatever. We're not on any of these fucking lists, but we know some people that are on the list. And the DNC was trying to get influencers to push the fucking letter that Chuck Schumer wrote saying, please meet with us. Yeah. Please, I'm begging you, please meet with us.
Not only are you so incompetent that you thought a letter was making any kind of political statement, but you also need the help of groups on the ground to push the fact that you did it. Like that, there's so many layers of incompetence here that we shouldn't even have to describe why Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer shouldn't have the positions that are in right now.
Exactly.
Like, that's fucking insane.
What do you mean you want influencers to push a fucking letter? That's your opposition. That's your big move opposition party?
Yeah. Like, I can't explain how easy it would be for Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer or somebody in the Democratic Party to get out there on one of these shows and say, we're shutting down the government unless the Trump administration does X, Y, and Z, right? Pick 3 issues that you think are the most important right now: restoring Medicaid funding, stopping the illegal ICE deportations, whatever else, right? Like, and just get out there and say, like, we're shutting this shit down otherwise.
Even within the framing that they put out there, even with the bipartisan bullshit and the centrism and the fucking meeting in the middle bullshit they put out there, they only hold themselves to that standards. Democrats, at least these Democrats right now, are not holding conservatives to the standard that they need to do compromise to get things done.
Yeah.
They think that they're the ones that need to compromise and whatever. Get out there, and you don't even need to say, we, the Democrats, are shutting down the government if you're so scared that you're going to be blamed for that and it's going to affect the midterms. Get out there and say that conservatives are shutting down the government because they refuse to negotiate. They refuse to do anything for the people.
Yeah.
That's all you need to fucking do, just oppose. It means if I wrote a letter to Trump saying, please go meet with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, it would mean the same thing as if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries wrote their fucking letter.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we are right now.
And you got to get out there and start laying the groundwork for the Republicans shut down the government right now.
Yes.
Right? You need to do that ahead of time, because once it happens, Republican spin will already be in full force.
I'm sure they're already spinning it right now. I'm sure Benny Johnson is fucking concocting something wicked.
Yeah, they'll say some shit like Democrats shut it down to protect the trans shooter that killed Charlie Kirk or something.
Yeah.
Like they'll lie, right? Like it doesn't matter truth isn't real anymore. Nobody cares. They'll say some dumb shit like that.
Well, no, we probably might actually get that, because wouldn't the FBI shut down? Or maybe.
Probably. I don't know.
That'd be crazy if the government shuts down.
A lot of people get furloughed. We know that.
Tyler Robinson investigation. Oh, they'll have a fucking field day with that one, man. Oh my God.
So that's government shutdown news. Couple of other things though. JD Vance.
JD Vance, man.
The vice president went to Howell, Michigan to give a speech and was talking about how he wants to send the National Guard into Detroit, the state's black city, essentially.
And if you aren't from Michigan, you maybe don't know the irony of that. Howell was the home of the KKK.
Yeah.
JD Vance came to Howell in Livingston County, notoriously red, to say that we need to subject black people to the ire of the
military force. Yeah, exactly. Like it's not a mistake that he was in Howell saying that the military should occupy this black city.
Once again, talking to people who are strictly scared of the city.
Yeah. Like it's just I don't know, man. The subtlety is gone. No, it's not even a dog whistle
anymore. The mask
anymore.
is completely off, dude. Yeah. They're just going everywhere saying we need to send the National Guard. And this shit sucks. This shit fundamentally sucks, and I hate that we're in this state.
Yeah. Speaking of shit that sucks, think tank?
Think tank. Yeah. Hating that we're in this state is an understatement.
Ezra Klein has been on a fucking bend.
Yeah.
Going bad take for bad take for bad take.
This one, it's Ezra Klein, and it's this new think tank. What do we start with? Where to even begin? Where to even begin? I guess we should start with Ezra Klein.
Yeah.
That's a known quantity on this show, man. Ezra Klein did a interview with Ross. I don't know his last name.
Yeah.
Both two New York Times columnists, both two people who are perceived as public intellectuals, but I don't really know about that one. And Ezra Klein had some things to say. Particularly, he had something to say about what Democrats should be doing, and when we talk about winning by any means necessary, what that means. And to Ezra Klein, doing the things that need to be done is running pro-life Democrats. Pro-life Democrats. That's your big fucking solution to what our problems are in states like Ohio and Kansas, because those are two states that he named. He named Ohio and Kansas in his example of how Democrats need to start doing compromise and getting people to win places that are a bit more scrappy for running progressive positions. But being pro-life, first of all, polls at 7, or pro-choice polls at 70%. Being pro-life is profoundly unpopular throughout this country. One of the most unpopular things in the country. And even in red states like Ohio and Kansas, the two that were named, pro-choice ballot measures won at the ballot box in Ohio twice. Not only because the pro-choice measure won, but the measure that was on before the pro-choice measure that tried to lower the threshold to make it easier for the pro-life position to win failed because voters knew and cared so much about being pro-choice.
Yeah. I think pro-choice ballot referendums have lost only in Florida because Florida raised the threshold to 60%. And then I think it just lost outright in Nebraska in 2024.
Yes.
But every other state, the pro-choice position has won. And it's picking a state like Kansas is interesting because Kansas has a Democratic governor who is pro-choice. A pro-choice Democrat has won statewide in the example state that he used. Like, it's fucking nonsense, because what he's saying is like, okay, if we literally are staring down the barrel of authoritarianism, then we should be okay with making strange bedfellows and broadening the coalition such that there are people that maybe have positions we disagree with that are able to win in these states that we've historically lost, right? These like deep red states in the South especially. But then, yeah, he picks the issue of abortion.
Yeah.
Which is not the issue that we need to capitulate on. I can't remember who said this on Twitter, but like, if the Democratic Party was as popular as abortion, we would control the entire government.
Yes.
We would have supermajorities in the government.
Abortion, in fact, bucked the historical trend of Republicans winning when Democrats are in power in the midterms to deliver Democrats the midterms in 2022. It is our most popular position.
Yeah.
Just straight up. It's the best we have going for us right now when it comes to mainstream Democratic policies. And he's saying maybe we should entertain pro-life Democrats.
Yeah, and the role of guys like Ezra Klein and the people in the think tank we're about to talk about is to essentially downplay the effectiveness or importance of economic populism, right? Because if we're to deal with like the substance or the underlying premise of his argument, it's not just that we should like allow pro-life Democrats into the coalition, it's that we should allow, in some cases, Democrats, if they need to moderate their message such that they can win in Republican states, right? So they can take issues off the table and compete with Republicans in a state that is like already has a conservative bend. But when we're talking about issues like, and when we're talking about this shit, it's stuff like abortion, it's stuff like trans people participating in sports, and it's these other sort of cultural issues that they're talking about. When the main issue that people are concerned about every single time they go to the polls is their material conditions, man.
It's groceries.
It's rent. It's the mortgage that they pay. It's gas. It's groceries. And it's the cost of life. And we know that because in states like Nebraska, in states like Missouri, they will pass shit like a $15 minimum wage through a ballot referendum, or they will pass paid sick leave, or they'll pass other progressive, economically populist policies because that's what people actually like. But the Democrats don't run on those issues. Again, Tim Walz was the free school lunch guy. Kamala Harris did not run on free school lunch.
Yeah.
People are so desperate for any candidate to just say shit does not have to be this hard. The state's going to intervene on your behalf and push back against corporate interests that are making your life miserable. And these guys like Ezra Klein think the answer is to fucking be anti-trans. It's absurd.
It's like the discourse around this was mainly about winning by any means necessary when the stakes are so high. Yeah, I say let's win by any means necessary, but like there's a line there. And the line is when you just become your opponent.
Well, that too. Yeah.
You can't become a Republican to win Republicans and still expect good results. I don't want pro-life Democrats in the coalition. Even if we could win, even if we could fucking flip a seat in Ohio blue by running someone who is pro-life, which wouldn't fucking happen because, once again, being pro-choice won in Ohio just demonstrably. It's a popular position everywhere.
Yeah.
But because reproductive rights are under attack, and I want people who will aid in the defense of those rights, not people who will be roadblocks to that. Getting Democrats like that is just giving us more Joe Manchins that are going to kill things that we need to get done in critical moments we need to get them done. We don't need Joe Manchins. Joe Manchin, having been a Democrat in West Virginia, having got us the not even the Senate majority, but the deadlock in the Senate, didn't fucking mean a whole lot for the actual problems going on.
It actually got us to where we are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It stopped progress. It stopped us from delivering for people in ways that they need to be delivered for.
And notice how this sort of strategy never extends leftward.
Yeah.
It is always a method of getting the party to go more to the center or more to the right. Because if we actually apply these principles of, okay, maybe we need to be a bit more strategic, broaden the coalition, and not be so, restrictive as to what candidates can believe, then in a place like Michigan, Ezra Klein would be going out to bat for Abdul El-Sayed.
Yes.
Because he would recognize that there's a strong Arab American population that cares deeply about what's happening in Gaza and understands it to be a genocide. But suspiciously, that's never going to be the take, even from this set of premises. And I think it's just because they want to pull the party to the center.
Yeah.
That is their goal. That is their project. They will dress it up in all this fanciful academic, seemingly intelligent language, but their goal at the end of the day is just to make the Democratic Party more centrist and to ice out the left.
Well, these people don't care about social issues. They don't care about issues of like human rights in meaningful ways when it comes to stuff like this. Or I mean, not to put words in Ezra Klein's mouth. I'm sure he's not homophobic. I'm sure he's not bigoted in ways like that. But the only thing these people care about is centrist economics. economics, and they're willing to throw those things away to get centrist economics.
Yeah.
And that's absurd. And just like how the message is never, let's go more left to get something somewhere, it's also never, let's try and reach a constituency that we haven't once reached before. Let's try and turn people out. It's never that. It's always, we just want to get Republicans. They constantly chase after voters while letting Republicans run away with the narrative.
Yeah.
And that's why we get to the place where the FBI can say that trans people are terrorists.
And when you say that, like, they don't care about social issues, it's not just that, like, they don't have an opinion, it's that they literally don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they actually do not care, because you'll notice that in the strategy, nowhere into the conversation does it come into nowhere does the idea come into the conversation that, like, maybe sacrificing trans people is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, morally wrong.
Well, that's the thing, because to them, to people who propose things like this, social issues are tokens to be bargained with to get to your ultimate goal of zoning reform. Like, what the fuck, man? And I read a little bit further into this New York Times interview because I wanted to understand the context of the pro-choice thing, and I found another just straight up gem. I'm going to read you this excerpt. It's a bit long, so stay with me. Okay. Quote, this is from Ezra Klein. Quote, there's been a move that I think has a lot to do with social media, actually, and the modes of discourse and action that dominate there. But to begin to have the view that you don't bridge disagreement, you sort of draw a line around it, and you say that's not even an okay position to hold, and that there can be no compromise with it. There can barely be engagement with it. Essentially, in there, he's talking about how people on social media don't want to engage with certain conservative viewpoints, which I think is a valid position. But continuing, quote, we were illiberal on speech issues for a number of years there. I think that I should have taken that critique more seriously than I did at the time. That's one way I rethought the period around 2020. And the way in which, say, Clinton and Obama ran politically, a kind of politics that sat with the idea that people were absolutely going to disagree with them, and they would need to win over some of those precise people.
Jesus.
That their politics would need to be palatable to people who did not agree with quite a bit of what they wanted to do. I think we lost that. This whole thing is about giving up on social issues.
Yeah.
This whole thing is about saying, no, actually, we need to entertain disagreement for the sake of bipartisanship and for the sake of debate. We don't need to do any of that. Some issues just should not be up for debate. And he's talking about the Clinton and Obama years. It wasn't until what? 2015 or 2016 when Obergefell came out and gay marriage was legalized federally.
Yeah.
That was a fight. People had to fight tooth and nail for the right for a boy to marry a boy or a girl to marry a girl. That's fucking absurd. Yeah. And that's something that we're relitigating in fucking 2025.
Yeah.
We're relitigating that because we're letting people run away with these things, because we're treating these people seriously. Some issues are not serious issues. Just because somebody disagrees with you does not mean that disagreement is important or should be entertained.
Yeah, and it's like giving these ideas a platform at all is a victory for the conservative, right? Like even entertaining the idea that, like, oh, okay, maybe gay people don't deserve to get married. Like maybe that shouldn't be a protected right by the state. That is a conservative victory in and of itself, even if you win the quote unquote debate in which these ideas are presented. But it's also like he's fully shadowboxing. I have never understood the critique that, like, the left hides from disagreement. Sure, the left will say, like, I'm not going to debate with a racist, but that's not because, like, there's just a mere disagreement. It's because there's no debate to be had. We don't agree fundamentally on the principles required to have an honest debate. I mean, like, sure, there was a point in history where, like, the left got a little woke scoldy. That's mostly evaporated, but, like, it was an online trend.
That's
like, Democrats never did that.
That's my whole thing about this, is he mentions 2020, he's talking about woke schools.
He's talking about
this whole thing is about woke schools in the big 2-5.
Yeah.
That was an issue for like a couple years on the internet, but nobody fucking does that anymore. And everybody who's serious agrees that woke schools are annoying.
Yeah, and if his argument fundamentally, if we're even to like give him some charitability here, if his argument is that like, okay, we should focus on economic issues and not as much on social issues, fine. But you're not going to do it in a way that's compelling because Zoran Mamdani's doing it right now and the party will not get behind him.
Exactly.
It's like, because like the way that Zoran's doing it is the way that you should do it, right?
He has not made his campaign about the trans issues, about any of these issues that Democrats say have contention with.
And when he does talk about them, he just says his thing about like, oh, I respect all trans people and I'll fight for their rights. And then he turns it back into, I'm going to freeze the rent.
Yeah.
Because that's the shit that people care about. And Ezra Klein is just doing everything he can to build consent for the idea that we just need to abandon than trans people, and that's how we'll win elections.
Like, I'm sorry, we should not be entertaining spirited debate with somebody who believes that like race science is real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm not trying to argue about phrenology in the Big 2-5, just like I'm not trying to talk about woke scolds in 2025.
Yeah.
This is fundamentally absurd. The spirit of debate, the intellectual coliseum where people gather to like battle about their ideas and come out emerging the victor only matters in a world where everybody is a good faith actor who cares about truth.
Yeah.
And that's not the world that we live in right now.
I can't help but like I can't shake the feeling that although Klein fancies himself as like a public intellectual and he writes all these books and op-eds and stuff like that, I feel like he was one of those guys that was low-key annoyed that he had to do the pronouns thing. And that kind of just fuels his politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's some motivated reasoning going on here. And part of the reason is like he low-key did not fuck with that era.
I know Klein's older, right? But it's like what we're proposing. We're in a situation where it's like young men go to college and they either get annoyed that they have to say he, him when they fucking pull up to introduce themselves in class, or they don't. And that defines their politics forever.
Yeah, like they just get a little bit resentful of what like the far left, quote unquote, made them do. When in reality, like the pretense that the Biden administration went in with, if it was ever inclusive at all, was dropped like immediately.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't continue doing the quote unquote woke thing. That just went like evaporated right away.
Fucking after 2021, people stopped caring about police brutality.
Yeah.
That shit still happens. That shit still goes on, but it doesn't penetrate the news like it used to because Democrats just fucking dropped it.
When like the Gen Z activists that they had sort of like brought into the fold, not like into the administration, but were sort of like giving sort of ear service to for a little while, when those activists started to push back and say like, hey, you're fumbling the ball on climate change, you're fumbling the ball on racial justice, you're fumbling the ball on these other issues, they kicked them out and stopped inviting them to places. Like it was never a real thing in the party, and to make this like the central focus of what you think the party should do going forward is nonsense. It is fucking nonsense, and I hate it.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But that's just Ezra Klein.
That's just
Ezra Klein, man. There are multiple people in the Democrats or like in the Democratic orbit that are deserving of our ire, right? Yeah. And this next one focuses on this new Democratic think tank that wants to, quote, curb the influence of liberal groups. This is the Searchlight Institute, led by a former aide to Senator Harry Reid, who also used to be a Fetterman staffer.
I wonder if those liberal groups include groups like AIPAC or not.
Possibly.
I would assume not.
I think I read that these guys are being funded by what the fuck are they called? Lincoln Project guys. I forget about them because there are like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Or like Never Trumpers or whatnot. But which that tracks when you consider what they're all about.
Mitt Romney conservatives. Yeah, sure.
These guys got a profile in the New York Times and have a $10 million a year budget, and they just launched.
What are you doing with $10 million, man?
Oh, I'll tell you what they're doing with $10 million.
Oh.
They're telling, quote, the Searchlight Institute is hoping to persuade Democrats to play down causes like climate change and LGBTQ rights to appeal to more voters.
Oh my fucking
You fucking got $10 million to tell Democrats that we need to throw more trans people under the bus. We need to throw trans people under the bus harder.
This is literally what the Harris campaign did. Yeah. They stopped talking about climate change, and she had basically nothing to say about LGBTQ rights, and she lost. I don't know why these people think doing the same thing over and over again, just with maybe a little bit more neoliberalism or just phrasing it a different way, will ever win them elections consistently.
And it's crazy. It's like these billionaires have infinite amounts of money to throw at people who want to call themselves consultants, who want to fucking fancy themselves as public intellectuals to go out and say, I think a Midwest guy doesn't like trans people. Let's make your entire campaign about it and lose.
This stuff is going to drive me fucking nuts, dog. Andy Beshear ran an openly pro-LGBTQ campaign and won in fucking Kentucky.
Yes.
Like, this can be replicated elsewhere. You just got to do the Tim Walz thing and say Republicans that care deeply about trans people in sports are fucking weirdos who won't leave kids alone. That's all you need to say. And then run on economic populism, of course, is like my brand of politics. But like, Jesus Christ, man.
Exactly. I have a quote here from the guy that started the Institute. He said, quote, the folks who are most to blame about Trump are the ones who push Democrats to take indefensible positions. You know what he's talking about?
It's not Israel.
You know what he's talking about? It's the fucking ACLU. It's the ACLU questionnaire. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about when Kamala Harris answered that she'd do fucking trans operations in prison. That's
Dude,
what he's saying lost the fucking election.
Nobody made her answer that way.
Exactly. That's my biggest thing is the Searchlight Institute's whole contention with groups like the ACLU is that they like force candidates to answer their woke questions with their fucking questionnaires. Kamala Harris did not have to answer that question. She could have turned in the thing with that question blank or answered NA or whatever the fucking options were in there. She didn't have to say she would be pro that. I think you should be pro that because I think that's a good thing because fucking trans healthcare is healthcare. But that's way besides the point here. She didn't have to do that. She did it because she got caught up in the fucking 2020 woke off, which was a thing of like her own fucking making, really. Mm-hmm. And that's why they got to run the ad against her. But to pretend that ad even had a significant impact on the goddamn campaign has been just this concerted effort by these same type of liberal groups to just completely overplay the impact that trans issues have on the electorate.
Yeah, literally to do anything other than blaming the forces of wealth that have corrupted the Democratic Party. We are just trying to obfuscate literally as much as we possibly can. Yeah, like trans issues registered like at the very bottom of issues that motivated people to vote a certain way. It was economic issues and it was immigration because Democrats utterly fumbled to offer a counter message on the issue of immigration. And it was the fact that people didn't like that Biden was so goddamn old and Kamala Harris was so intimately connected with Joe Biden.
And there was also the pandemic recovery. There was also the fact that the Biden inflation that happened, gas name, by the way, that happened under the pandemic was something that I think any president would have struggled with re-election under.
Yeah.
And that's just conditions because I look at things materially. The material conditions of people during the time of the election was not great. Man. That's not going to reflect good no matter who's the president at the time.
Yeah.
And that's just straight up how it is.
And it has nothing to do with trans people.
Exactly.
Like these like liberal think tank types, these like centrist types are so desperate to blame trans people for all of their electoral issues when it's like, no, dog, the issue is the people who pay your bills.
Show me one person who went to the polls and said, yeah, trans issues are my number one thing. Even amongst the people who care about that, they care more about their grocery bill. They care more about their rent. They care more about their electric bill.
Even if people showed up to the polls in 2024 and said like trans people participating in sports is my biggest issue, they're not winnable for Democrats.
No,
you can't win unless you're just going to be as genocidal against trans people as Republicans are. Then at that point, like, what are we doing?
Well,
right?
That's what gets me about the Ezra Klein piece as well, right? Because Ezra Klein and the whole pro-life argument is that like, oh, maybe we could win over these one-issue voters. People who one-issue vote on abortion are never going to one-issue vote for the people that just switched up their stance to be against abortion. Yeah. They're going to continue to vote for the people who have always been against abortion, who have always been pro-life, because they're going to continue to be more pro-life because they don't fucking give a shit.
And it's like, think about it. When the when the abortion debate was at the forefront of everybody's mind, when the Dobbs v. Jackson decision had just happened in 2022, you know what happened? Not a red wave. A lot of people turned out and voted for Democrats, in fact. I know Democrats lost the House in 2022, but it was expected that we were going to lose far more than just a couple of seats in the House. And Democrats actually didn't hemorrhage as much as they thought. And it's specifically because people were energized to turn out in support of abortion policies.
And we maintain the Senate, right?
Yeah.
Maintain insane. Razor-thin margins. We maintain those.
Yeah.
Fucking absolutely wild.
It's like their analysis of politics is completely disconnected from any reality whatsoever. Like I don't know what world these people are living in, and I just have to assume their job is not like I have to assume that like they're not just incompetent, but they're nefarious, right?
Yeah, of course, because when you're being paid $10 million a year to say that it's fucking shut the fuck up trans people to Democrats, what you're really being paid to do is appease the people who are paying you. Yeah. Like you're doing this to appease your donors who also don't care about that fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
that's all this is. I have another quote from the Searchlight Institute, which is just the corniest fucking name for what they're doing, right? You know what I'm saying? Quote, right now we're pursuing every tactic imaginable except for the obvious one, which is taking positions that are more in line with the people we are trying to win over. This is popularism. This is Matt Iglesias' popularism. If you needed it put into terms that you already hate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And again, it's like these people believe in nothing, man.
We're just chasing voters who are being led by the Republican Party away from your position. That is unwinnable.
Yeah.
You're the carrot on the fucking stick, dude. You're instantly running behind them. There's nothing that you can do. It's so absurd. And you mean to tell me that that's the one thing we haven't, the one thing we've been doing is the one thing we haven't been doing? What we haven't been doing is backing people like Zoran Mamdani, who, like you have been saying, are actually offering a new and bolder vision for the future.
Yeah, and it's specifically because he's a threat to the donor class and he's anti-Zionist. Like
Zoran
that's it.
Tried something new, and he's winning for it, at least so far.
It's like Democrats want to find a way to be exciting again without shaking up anything in any meaningful way, and that's just not an option. Like you're just not going to, and they're going to try to do that with somebody like Pete Buttigieg probably. And sure, he can talk good, but at the end of the day, like at some point, you do need to inspire people with a bold vision. And you know, Obama was good at talking as well, and he tricked people into thinking that actual change was coming. People are really resentful right now, and I just don't think people are going to keep buying it.
No,
like it's not going to work, man.
And like $10 million.
Yeah.
Like, you mean these people are getting $10 million to say this?
And like, look, we get a lot of criticism over our sort of disdain for the Democratic Party, but the reason I'm so critical of the Democrats is because I want them to be better.
Exactly.
I don't think that shit needs to be this bad all the time. I don't think our option should be like somebody that's like mid and not going to get much done, and then like the actual devil. Those should not be our options. I think the Democratic Party can be better. We should demand more. We should be optimistic about the future. But in order to get to that point, we need to purge the party of the fucking lunatics who think that trans people are the reason that Kamala Harris lost.
I just don't understand what kind of brain broken you have to be to genuinely come to that analysis.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't even say I don't understand. It's capital. It's literally capital. It's people not having an analysis that's rooted in anything real. It's people who are intentionally trying to obfuscate the issue to appease their donors so that they can keep funding their $10 million a year budget for a think tank of 7 people.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And the picture that they released launching this thing is the most sauceless thing I've ever fucking seen.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that that's going to win people over?
Yeah.
Brother.
It's just anything to obfuscate the fact that the central issue of our time so obviously is the massive disparity in wealth accumulation between the people at the top and the people at the bottom. That is like, you are getting fucked blind, and you are told by the media sources controlled by the people doing the fucking that nothing is wrong, but you can feel something is wrong, and the think tanks like this exist purely to disguise what's actually happening. And that sucks. I mean, and again, we just passed a massive transfer of wealth under this Trump administration, and we're not even talking about that. Like, nobody fucking cares.
Yeah, that wasn't even like one of the big talking points to come out of this thing.
No.
They gave a fucking no tax on tip applies to podcasters, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is... Everything they do sucks. And yet, like you say, we go so hard against the Democrats because we can have influence over them.
Yeah.
Not us, like you and me. Obviously, we're not movers and shakers in the Democratic Party. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Shouts out.
When we get invited to the DNC.
Exactly. We're on the up when we get put on those lists where they're like, hey, spread the word on this fucking
Here's
letter.
my press release.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like we have at least somewhat of a sizable following now.
Yeah.
We can actually be a part of an ecosystem that exerts pressure to actually make good things happen, and I fuck with good things.
Yeah, exactly. Big on fucking with good things. Anyway, that's a fucking tirade against think tanks. I'm on a crusade to ban think tanks in the United States.
No, absolutely, man. They're just the worst thing in the world. And I guess we'll leave you with a little story as like a like a palate cleanser, I guess, something to ease the tension before we go on to these Spotify reviews. And that's just that, like, Trump has it out for Letitia James, who is the New York Attorney General, because she investigated him for, I can't remember what fucking thing she investigated him for, but he's had it out for her because she's got him on charges.
And of course, she's a black woman
and
of power.
And of course, she's a black woman of power. So that's another big thing for these guys. And so he directed the U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of Virginia to look into her to try and find charges to bring against her. Weaponization of the DOJ against your political enemies.
Yeah.
And for the last 6 months, this U.S. attorney has been investigating her for mortgage fraud. It came out this week that the U.S. attorney could not find any evidence that would lead to anything they could prosecute on. And so Trump fires him. Or Trump said he will fire him, and he said he's going to put somebody in place who is willing to prosecute.
Who's willing to lie.
He said, exactly, I'm going to fire you and replace you with somebody that will go after my political enemies no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if there's no evidence of impropriety.
It's just like so fucking obvious.
Yeah, and this is like, this during the Biden years would have been news for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
But this is something that's just like nobody's going to talk about in a day.
Low-key, the Trump criticism of Biden that he never fired anybody, entirely valid.
Yeah.
Biden should have been firing people. Like
should have fired Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland did not do his job at all. Merrick Garland did the opposite of what Trump is doing right now. Trump is saying we're going after my political enemies. Merrick Garland said, like, well, I don't want to go after them because it might seem partisan. Like that is, we are complete 180 in the direction of weaponized justice, I suppose. That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Democrats do something challenge. Still waiting to see. Still waiting to see the results. But while we wait, we have Spotify reviews that we need to get through per our obligation to our loyal listener base.
That's right. So this first one here from Nick on Spotify.
Nice.
Finally, after years of listening to the Gospel of Hitto, I have finally decided to write my 5 out of 5 star review. First and foremost, I condemn all forms of political violence. As a trans man living in one of the most conservative areas of Texas, I appreciate your efforts to indoctrinate the youth into becoming leftist lunatics like me. Keep up the good work, boys.
Nice. This next one from CDM, 5 out of 5 stars. I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence. Funny that y'all mentioned Instagram Reels in this episode because that's how I discovered you. As a nerd from South Carolina, I'm lucky to be in a very progressive area, even if my leaders can't catch a vibe. I love your guys' humor. Keep the Buttigieg jokes coming. Oh, you'll be happy this episode.
Man, you'll be happy. Maybe you'll be happy when the book review comes out.
You'll be real happy when the book comes out.
This next one from Lila Rigda says 5 out of 5 stars. Finally, I condemn Hamas, political violence, and my former rep, now Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Michigander over here. A friend forced me to listen to this podcast in June of 2023, and I have been hooked ever since. The Hitto Boys have the best takes on all things local, state, national, and geopolitical, and make these topics both accessible and funny. Truly the greatest podcast ever. Abdul El Sayed 2026 all the way.
This next one from MN Frostic. Infinity out of 5 stars. I condemn any past, present, and future acts of political violence. As a certified Midwestern lesbian, these guys have joined Hassan Piker as the only cis-het men I will listen to. Huge honor right there. Love to be in those ranks. But their takes are that good. The fact that they're also from Michigan and understand the struggle of having Alyssa Slotkin as a senator makes this parasocial relationship even more meaningful. Big on that.
Real. This last one from Torrent, found y'all on Reels and just joined the Discord a few days ago. Currently binging like mad to catch up during my 2-hour commute in 7/22.
I imagine they started listening in
July 22nd. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Listen to the last 2 episodes to hear y'all's reaction on Kirk, and it put my own feeling into words. I also condemn all political violence, and it's nice to hear nuanced takes that dunk on everyone, no matter who they belong to. Hitto is a raft in the sea of insanity. As someone who is a leftist speck in a red rural community of New Jersey, Chris Christie moment.
Chris Christie moment. Man, I miss when we were talking about him in the Republican primary. You remember when he looked at the camera and he said, Donald Duck.
Life was so much easier back during the Republican primary, man.
It was such a good man, I miss when I was scared of Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
That life was so much better when I was like, oh, maybe he could make a dark horse run and really do something evil.
He has no future. Straight up has no future. Like JD Vance is like the next one to like carry the torch.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is not anywhere near that.
Man,
It would have been gas if Ron DeSantis was the VP right now, though.
You know, if we have primaries in 28, it'll be real nice to see the Republican primary and who's going to try to emerge and what they're going to try to do. Are they going to try to distance themselves from Trump? Frankly, we're not even a year into Trump won.
Yeah.
So I can't even begin to say how Republicans are going to feel about it, but I can't even begin to say if there's going to be a 2028.
It's going to be Newsom
The
versus
rapture's
JD
going to
Vance.
happen tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, unless we all, unless the sinners are left here to wade through the apocalypse.
Of course, maybe you'll all be here, and hopefully the airwaves are still good so that we can keep broadcasting.
The rapture will take the true believers, and then it'll fast forward us to our real hell, which is a Gavin Newsom presidency. Or maybe we're all in purgatory right now, and that's what this is.
Maybe the rapture did happen thousands of years ago, and this is the result.
I would say that we probably deserve it if that's the case.
Absolutely, man. But you know who doesn't deserve it?
Oh, these patrons. They bought their way into heaven.
Beautiful, wonderful patrons who have bought their way into the sky, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Chaplinsky, Clayton Afed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari Fergalaki, Max Vasquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Pug, Jim Egbers, Big Burrito, Cincy, Alex, Joe Stentrum, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutts, Jennifer DeVoe, Crawfish, and Benedict Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Carker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron Hennis Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Monaco, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ass Smith, The Growler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Ghana, Guana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Anna Volinick, KCC, Say Yes to West, August, Particular Pikmin, Sir Capalot, Jeff Science, Brendan's Egg, Froggy Gumjock, Jackie Boy, Sameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ Sark, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Chris T., Kashan Lala, Amanda R., Tyler J. Particulon,
Memphres, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Four, Lauren, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Do Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, Cryo Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Maja What, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rourke Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Also, forgot to mention this at the top, but we have hit our goal on Patreon.
Yes.
Next round of postcards is coming soon. Might be a little bit later than normal because now we got to order an extra
we gotta
thing.
put stickers in there.
And I was low-key waiting to see if we could actually hit it in time.
Exactly.
So might be delayed by like a week or something like that. But also make sure your address is up to date if you're a patron.
Yes.
I dropped a message on Patreon yesterday, so go and check that one out if you need to figure out how to get signed up or change your address or whatever it may be. And thank you all for getting us there.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
We love you.
And have a great week.